Alex Eala faces a Japanese player in PWO round of 16. Home fans have nothing to worry with regards to the fitness of their lone remaining bet in the 2026 Women's Tennis Association, WTA, 125 Philippine Women's Open, PWO. Alexandra Alex Eala assured that she's fine and as ready as ever to go on a deeper campaign in the round of 16 on Wednesday after a right leg injury scare in a rousing opener win against Elena Kharieva of Russia, much to the delight and standing ovation of the enormous Filipino crowd. There was a bit of discomfort, but it's nothing serious. Physical pain is part of an athlete's lifestyle, said Ms. Eala after a brief exit midway through her 6-1, 6-2 first-round win on Monday night at the Rizal Memorial Tennis Center here. It's a part of the job, so we have to find ways to best manage that and not let it affect us mentally. Due to said pain, Ms. Eala called for a medical timeout for about 10 minutes, trail ing 1-2 in the second set, but came back like nothing happened, closing out the WTA number 163 Russian foe with 4 straight wins, capped by a love in the 8th game for an electrifying win in only 76 minutes of action. Ms. Eala, WTA number 49, avenged her 6-3, 6-3 defeat against the same opponent in the 2020 Spain ITF and in the process scored her first home win as a professional since leaving the country as a junior to train under the wings of Spanish legend Rafael Nadal at his Mallorca Academy in 2018. With almost 2 days to recover, Ms. Eala's fitness will be tested not before 7 p.m. at Center Court on Wednesday against either number 140 Himeno Sakitsum or number 204 Nao Hibino, both from Japan, for a seat in the quarterfinals. As the first and only Filipina player to ever reach the WTA top 100 and top 50 list at now number 49, expectations are high for the 20-year-old sensation to have a deep campaign and ultimately win it all at home, especially as the second-seeded player in the 32 main draw just behind German legend Tatjana Maria, number 42. Not to add that she's the lone Filipina left standing after the quick elimination of 3 wildcards in Tenny Mighties, Elizabeth Abarque and Kay and Emina, adding pressure each day to her run until Saturday. I would say there's a bit of added pressure. That's the job. The job comes with pressure. Like Billie Jean King says, pressure is a privilege. I'm learning how to live up to that in my own ways, and I'm happy with how I performed today, she cleared. Pressure is part of my job, but it's nothing compared to the pressures that regular everyday Filipinos have to face providing for their families. It's nothing compared to what my parents have sacrificed to bring me here. What's easing that pressure and responsibility as the country's tennis flag bearer in the international arena at a still young age is the incomparable feeling at last to strut her stuff in front of her family, friends and compatriots in the country's first and definitely not the last WTA hosting in history, after playing overseas majority of the year. It really holds a special place in my heart. It's my first ever pro match at home, and I was able to spend it around family and supporters surrounded with love. It's very special, added Ms. Eala. I represent quite a big demographic, Filipinos, in international stage. It's such an honor to have this support and this community rallying behind me, so I do my best to give back to them and do what I can through my tennis. Sometimes when all this attention and pressure gets a bit overwhelming for me, that's kind of what I repeat to myself. That's what makes me feel small again and pulls me back to the ground. Where grit meets the rising sun. Alex Eala in the PWO round of 16. The court was quiet in that particular way only big matches know, where the silence hums, tight with expectation. Above the hard court, the afternoon sun hung like a witness, unblinking. On one side of the net stood Alex Eala, racket resting lightly in her hand, eyes steady, breathing measured. On the other side waited her opponent from Japan, composed and unreadable, bowing slightly to the moment as much as to tradition. This was the PWO round of 16, but it felt larger than a line on a tournament bracket. It felt like a crossroads. Alex bounced the ball once, twice, 3 times. The sound echoed, not loud, not soft, just certain. 4 years now, Alex Eala had been learning how to belong in moments like this. Not just to play tennis, but to inhabit pressure. To stand inside the noise of expectation and still hear her own instincts. She had traveled far, geographically yes, but also emotionally, From the early days when she was simply the talented kid from the Philippines, swinging freely, dreaming wildly. Now she was here, shoulders squared, carrying the quiet weight of a nation that had learned to look up when she stepped onto a court. Across the net, the Japanese player embodied a different energy. Precision. Discipline. A style forged in repetition and restraint. Her strokes were compact, her posture immaculate. She didn't waste movement, didn't waste emotion. Where Alex played with fire and feel, her opponent played with geometry and calm. It was a contrast that tennis loves. The match began sharply. The Japanese player struck first, deep, clean ground strokes that kissed the baseline and dared Alex to overreach. The rally stretched, then tightened, then snapped. Alex adjusted, taking the ball earlier, stepping inside the court, trusting her lefty angles to bend the rally out of shape. Point by point, the story unfolded. Alex chased down a drop shot, sliding just enough to flick the ball cross-court. The crowd gasped. Somewhere in the stands, a small Philippine flag waved harder. On the next point, she missed a forehand by inches, frustration flashing across her face like heat lightning, brief, bright, gone. That was one of her gifts, the ability to let go. The Japanese player held serve with efficiency, but Alex answered with creativity, mixing spin, height, and sudden acceleration. A looping forehand here. A flat backhand there. Tennis, for Alex, was never just about control. It was about expression. Midway through the first set, the match tightened into a chess game played at full sprint. Long rallies tested lungs and legs. Short points tested nerve. The sun dipped slightly, casting longer shadows that stretched across the court like reminders of time passing. Alex wiped her face with her towel and looked toward her box. No words were exchanged. None were needed. She broke serve with a return that clipped the line. Clean, brave, undeniable. The sound of the ball hitting the court felt louder than it should have. She pumped her fist once, small but firm. Not celebration, confirmation. The Japanese player responded with resolve, pushing the set to its edge. Every game felt like a negotiation with momentum. Every deuce was a question. Who wants this more right now? Alex answered not with volume, but with belief. She took the first set after a grueling final game, sealing it with a forehand winner that curved away like it had its own mind. As she walked to her chair, she didn't smile. She simply nodded, as if acknowledging an agreement she had made with herself long ago. The second set was tougher. The Japanese player adjusted, stepping in, taking time away, refusing to let Alex settle into rhythm. Errors crept in. A double fault. A netted backhand. Tennis, ever honest, demanded patience.